the Bench with Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn.
Okay, here we go.
Where the plays get broken down and science gets denied.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Hour 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Raising Cane studio.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of OTB here live from the Raising Cane's studio. Of course, our Wednesday shows brought to you by Hood Dental Care. Multiple locations here in the greater Baton Rouge area. You can go to hooddentalcare.com, hooddentalcare.com to find that location, schedule your appointment. Check it all out. Again, on their website, all the information, hooddentalcare.com. All right. Our guy, Dr. Stephen Etheredge, joins us every single Wednesday here at 8 a.m. Back again. Doc, good to see you again, sir. I missed you last week.
Hey, glad to be here.
Well, are you really sitting next to Flynn?
Oh, we had a great time last week.
Did you sit over here, or did he sit like there like y'all were in a date on the same side of the booth? Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not sitting in that chair.
That'd have been actually pretty funny if he...
A little same side
Maybe
sitter?
next time we'll have to do that. Yeah, just
Lisa and I will say that sometimes we go out there, hey, you want a same side sit or what?
that's
That's usually
crazy.
a
I'm a no on that. But
Yeah, it's a no.
Yeah.
That's a no. But if we go to like a four top, that's not a booth, we do sit like catty corner to each other.
yeah, that makes sense. That's okay. I think that's more acceptable.
I think that's the romantic way to do it.
Yeah.
To do it which way?
We sit like if it's a four top table instead of a booth, we sit catty corner. Like
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
across, catty corner.
Why that?
Just romantic.
Says who?
It says me and my wife.
Okay. Feels like something you forced her into. Flynn, I know you had a question about concussion.
Yeah, just right. So we were kind of like looking around the sporting world, and there's not a lot to report or talk about on specific injuries, or at least that we haven't like discussed before. But we did see Wemby last week. He's like 38 feet tall, so when he fall hard.
It's a long way.
That's a long way to fall.
What's wrong with this?
He landed on his head, and like he kind of acted like he went to sleep a little bit. He got concussed, which you don't see. I guess you don't see that from basketball players that often. But I was wondering, like, when you would always hear somebody that gets concussed or gets dinged in the head, you're like, doctors usually told them, don't go to sleep. Don't take a nap until you get it looked at.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I will say some of that kind of line of thinking has definitely gone away. You want to make sure somebody's neurologically intact. You want to be able to do a good evaluation. You know, I will say with the concussions, we've kind of gone a little bit the other way now, at least with a lot of the recommendations. Now, if you're really worried about some kind of a head injury, you want to continue to assess them, especially if it's something more than a concussion. So if they might have, say, a brain bleed or something like that, because you want to be aware if all of a sudden there's a mental status change. So I think the thought of not letting them go to sleep is more so you can continue to get reassurance that they're neurologically intact. Because if you know, somebody goes and lays down for the whole night, and let's just say, you know, heaven forbid, they had a more serious head injury like a brain bleed, it might continue to bleed, it continue to expand and put pressure on the brain, then they have more serious symptoms you may not be aware. But you know, the flip side of that is if you have an injury, especially a head injury, rest is the most important thing. So you know, if I really feel comfortable that it's a concussion but not a more serious injury, I'm actually really big in saying, hey, you need to sleep, because that's how you get better.
Interesting, because I was like always like as a kid, someone would get hit in the head and they're like, you can't go to sleep.
Is it
And
one
I
of
was
those
like,
ones
why?
like it used to be like if you just ate food, you can't go swimming for 30 minutes?
Probably so.
You know, it's kind of a similar logic. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to cramp in the water. You don't want them to start, you know, vomiting and suddenly start to really deteriorate on you and not be aware. So I think the big thing I tell people is, look, you know, maybe the first night monitor them, but you don't necessarily have to keep them up. You know, unless we're really worried. But then if they're really worried, they probably need to be at the hospital and not.
Well, Doc, and this brings up a very important topic. Now that we're getting into pool season, if you get a big lunch in, do you need to wait 30 minutes?
You know, I've always told people that, but what I've read suggests probably it's not as crucial as we all think. But I don't want to be the one that's telling you not to. So it's probably okay. But hey, you know.
My mom used to just made me walk around until I burped. Then I could get back in.
I mean, I think that's sound science.
Yeah, it is sound science.
I like it.
You don't want that gas in there.
I like it. All right, so I've got one for you that I was thinking about because I went over to the facility yesterday and was talking with some of the players and just, getting some updates on how they were feeling. And I started thinking about it because this wasn't a thing when we were playing. Like guys that participated in spring or, guys that were limited in spring, like for y'all now, like, do you have like a weekly checkup with those players? And obviously we're not talking specific names, but like weekly, is it every other week? Because like, I don't think we had that. I'm not sure that we did, at least when we were playing, but now obviously the game's changed a little bit. Like, is that something where it's like, hey, I'm going to be here on Wednesdays, you come in, we're going to check you out? Or how is that process to make sure that they're staying on the right path to be able to, be ready for fall?
Yeah, it's like almost everything has become year round.
Yeah,
it's we have people out there. Like, I'm there every Wednesday. The days I'm here, I go from here to campus. If there's guys that we need to follow up on, I'll probably see them today.
Yeah.
Obviously it depends on the situation. I say it a lot, but we rely really, really heavily on the athletic trainers. So
for sure, yeah.
So they're coming in doing their rehab every day. Hopefully that's what they should be doing. And they're getting their rehab, they're getting their work, and the trainers are going to keep us updated. So they may not see me every week, but if it's a transition where maybe we're thinking, okay, can we clear him to do more, or maybe the guy's not responding quickly enough or something like that, then yeah, we'll see him. But we do follow up pretty regular. We get injury reports every day. They send those out even this time of year, and we know like, hey, so and so has been progressing well with his hamstring, or he's not. And maybe they need to see me if that's the case or something.
Doc, let's talk about. Of course, last week was the NFL draft. Saints make a big move. I think that everybody can, every Saints fan can get behind in taking Jordan Tyson as the 8th overall pick. Now, the only controversy that this has at all, because he probably the most dynamic receiver in this draft, well deserved to go top 10, but the only drawback has been his injury history. A lot of it, okay, so dating back to 2022, he had a knee tear, so ACL, MCL, PCL. It happens, right? And we're 4 years past that. That kind of happens. But this past season, a lot of soft tissue stuff. When you see a guy that has a history of soft tissue injury, is this something that can be fixed, or is this, as a doctor, as an athletic trainer, as a coach, like if you see a guy that has some soft tissue stuff, is this something that could potentially linger forever? They're more likely, for whatever reason, their body type, their muscle, whatever, genetically, that they are more inclined to have and continue to have soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, the whole injury prone question is always a tough one. I do think there are athletes who, whatever it is, their genetics, maybe it's their previous injuries that have kind of predisposed them, but become more injury prone. But then on the other hand, I also think just as often it's bad luck. So it's hard to kind of sort through that. A guy with a lot of soft tissue injuries, in my mind, it's either somebody who's injury prone, or maybe it's somebody we just need to get a better training program, maybe where they were before. And no shade at any particular schools or anything, but maybe where they were, because it might have been the athlete just not taking part in enough of it. Maybe they weren't doing a good rehab. With a serious knee injury like he had a few years ago, a lot of times that next year you will see some of these soft tissue injuries. So maybe we kind of say, well, look, I think once we get him really rehabbed from the knee, he'll do a lot better. But you're compensating for a while. You got scar tissue. You got a lot of things. So I think it is a really hard question. But is there some concern, especially with these history of multiple soft tissue injuries? Absolutely, because we've all had those athletes. And look, I think our staff does a good job. We have some good tricks. We do a lot of the we've talked sometimes about different biologic injections that we'll do, and we brought some of these guys in and thinking that we might be able to fix these quote soft tissue injuries, and sometimes it's still really, really hard.
So is the term injury prone, is that a thing? Is it real? Are people, and I know that people are doing like these DNA tests to see like, oh, well, this guy's more likely to have an ACL or a Achilles, whatever it is. But when you say like, is it all bad luck, or that some people, their bodies are just built to get injured more?
I really think it's both, but unfortunately, I don't know that we've identified what that risk factor is. There's certain things we know. Some people have, connective tissue issues where their joints are looser. And it's interesting because those are people who are sometimes able to do more. You look at a lot of swimmers. I always think about Michael Phelps. I've used this example before, but he used that thing where he'd flap his arms behind it, and he'd almost clap his hands behind his back. Yeah. And I was like, that's not normal. And so he was clearly a guy that had some looser connective tissue. So it allowed him to excel at his sport, but those things do increase your risk for injury. So we do know a few things, and then I think there's other conditions where just somebody's just the way they're made, yeah. And sometimes, look, these explosive fast guys.
That's what I was going to ask you, that portion
Yeah.
of it, because like Zion Williamson has some soft tissue. He's incredibly explosive and has a different body type. I've told this story 100 times. My rookie year, I'm running a route and I'm like, feel like a little grab my hamstring or whatever. I'm kind of holding my hamstring, and Norv yells, "You're not fast enough to pull your hamstring." I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right."
Sure.
Yeah,
So
I think
it feels like maybe if you are that explosive, fast twitch guy.
if you look, there's always exceptions, but most of these hamstring strains, the vast majority, they're going to be your fast guys.
Yeah.
And again, you think about physics. It's force, it's speed, acceleration, all those things, and that's just physics. You put more torque, more force on that tendon, it's more likely to pop, or that muscle. So, but on the other hand, that's so where is that line? And I do think a lot of times it's bad luck too. Just it really, I've seen, you look at some guys and it's different types of injuries, and it's just, I think of like a guy like Joe Burrow who's kind of gotten that, and of course we love Joe, but I don't think he's an injury-prone guy because they've all been different injuries. And if you look at each one individually, it's a regular injury, but he's had several of them these past few years, and some type of people are saying that, and it's, on the one hand, you can't argue he's been injured, but if you look at there's such different mechanisms, it's kind of, I think it goes both ways.
How's the mechanism work of just, let's talk about like a hamstring pull. Excuse me. You could run 10,000 sprints as fast as you can. Then for whatever reason, this one time you do it, your hamstring pulls. Like mechanically, is just something just doesn't line up correctly? Is there a worn down muscle? Are there micro tears that just eventually, that you don't feel, eventually just give way? Why that one time when you've done it 10,000 other times?
Yeah, I think you'll find a few different reasons. Sometimes if you really talk to a lot of these athletes, they'll mention to you, I've actually been feeling kind of tight. It had been feeling kind of tight. The past 2 or 3 days when I was running, it felt kind of tight. The number of times I've heard that. So there was probably already a little bit of kind of wear starting to build, and maybe in those situations we should rein them back in. But the problem is a lot of times you hear the same thing, they do just fine. I think sometimes it's a mechanics thing. Maybe they step funny. Maybe they have to suddenly pivot or shift or slow down a lot quicker than they anticipated. Or, I look at that. I pulled a hamstring, and the funny thing was I made it all the way through, and I'd done pretty well. And I was playing in a flag football game after I was done, but I stepped in like a little hole, so slightly hyperextended. And that was the first time I'd ever really had a bad hamstring pull. And again, it was a kind of a misstep, and you will see that a lot of times. They step kind of funny, land kind of funny. So that sometimes, and then other times it kind of like we talked about a moment, just bad luck, just something that day. You may run another 1,000 sprints and never happen again, but that one time it just catches you.
Right. So when you pull a hamstring, there's a pull and there's a tear, right? Mm-hmm. But even a pull, is that like micro tears? Like what?
Yeah.
What is or is it just inflamed? Like,
it's funny because it brings up a good topic. People always come in and they're like, "Hey, did I sprain it, or did I tear it, or did I strain it, or did I tear it?" Whatever the scenario is. And in medical speak, it's the same. So if I say you strained your hamstring, that is a version of a tear. How severe is it? So like a grade 1 is a very mild. That's what probably most people think of as a strain. A grade 2 is a more significant tear. Grade 3 is a complete disruption, a complete tear. So most people are thinking of a grade 3 as a tear, and maybe a grade 1 to 2 is a strain. For us, they're all strains. It's just which one. It's just like the difference between a broken bone or a fracture. It's the same in our book as well. A fracture is a broken bone. Most people say fracture, think a little crack, break. Yeah. So it's funny, the terminology that we use is sometimes different than what is used by the public.
So if a muscle is tight or hurt, there's some sort of muscle fibers tearing.
Yes, yeah. A small strain that's very micro tearing, but no disruption where it's actually pulled apart.
All right, well, I'm glad you said that last one because you were asking about Jordan Tyson. I'll ask you about Oscar Delp. He was the 3rd-round selection out of Georgia for the New Orleans Saints. He played the entire 2025 season with a fractured left foot, didn't even find out he had a fracture in his foot until the NFL Combine.
Hell yes.
Yeah, that happens a lot. It's well, look, and I will say this, sometimes it's on the athlete. Sometimes they're not telling you. So a lot of times, we have had a lot of athletes that don't report injuries. Sometimes it's on the athletes. Sometimes they won't let you get imaging because they know, like, hey, I'm going to the league next year, so I'm not going to let you get an X-ray or an MRI of my foot or whatever it is that we're talking about. And then sometimes it takes a while to see it. I've gotten X-rays and I'll look at it and it looks fine. They come back 2 weeks later and you get another one. They go, yeah, there's the crack, clear as day. And even when you go back, you may not see it initially. Yeah. So there's a lot of variability there, and especially some of these stress fractures and things like that. If you're not going to get the MRI, and like I said, there's a lot of reasons why that doesn't happen. And
how much is like playing football? I was always, you'd have something, you'd be like, that's just getting callous for football. Like, stuff's going to hurt. Like, and maybe you don't even
what it is.
talk about it. But then, this at the combine, like you're going to go through a 7 to 10 hour physical, like the most thorough physical you've ever been, even if you never miss a game, which he didn't miss a game or practice with this injury.
Yeah.
But because he's going through this incredible, like all hands on deck, 10-hour physical, they found it.
Oh, and here's one of the differences. Like, they are going to order the studies there. They have everything there. They have the CT, the MRI, and the athletes cannot refuse. So once you are there,
Sure.
like I said, we've had a lot of athletes that said, look, I'm not going to get a
You
scan.
lose your freedoms.
And they can do that because that's their medical right. But when you go there, you're basically signing up saying, whatever you want, I'm going to do. And they know that. So when you step in, and if you even mention that my foot was a little bit sore, they are going to get an MRI of your foot. That's just the reality. You had an injury when you were in 9th grade and you played all of college or high school and college after that, but they're going to get pictures of it. They want to know what that was. Oh, you broke your foot in 9th grade, even though you played the last 8 years, no issues. Let's look at that foot. That's just the nature of it. And look, we do the same things when we get athletes in here, but like I said, the difference is what we can't force it.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it.
Have you ever told an athlete
maybe you can
to,
soon.
Yeah, it may change. Some of the bargaining, some of this.
As close as you get to
I
pro
think you're going to
football.
see some of those changes. I think it will come.
Yeah.
As we're paying athletes, there's going to be expectations
For sure.
But we're still waiting.
There's eventually, and I know this is a whole different conversation, there's going to be a fine system, I think. Down the road, it might be 10 years from now, but if you're going to get paid by the school and you don't live up to those expectations, some schools, by the way, have already started some of that.
They're
with
implementing
NIL
that.
money.
We've started some of that with NIL money.
I think Colorado is.
Yeah, and we have some of that now. Again, I don't think as rigid as nowhere near as rigid as what you see in the NFL, but
No, where you get fined for being underweight.
or yeah, none of that. But we do have where if a guy didn't disclose something and then it comes up later, I know that's worked into these new contracts here. So if you came in with a back injury and you don't tell us about it, and then we get you in, and then we find out, oh yeah, he had an MRI done when he was at Colorado, let's just say.
Right.
I know they're working some of that in already, and I think, and you should. You're spending a lot of
also
money.
don't really know how much you can do that when you're for a contract employee.
Yeah.
Like it's like a normal employee can't really create a fine system for a 1099 contract employee. So,
That's what I'm saying. Like down the road, like when things I think change. Like I think there's going to be collective bargaining. There's going to be,
but they have to be employees.
It's not right now. Yeah, it's not right now, but that's going to happen.
It's coming. If this version of college football stays, it's coming, and it should, because it's way too much money. I mean, you've had guys come in and then you find out, oh gosh, he's not going to play, or we're dealing with this injury that he's going to be out half the season, and we're paying you to play the whole year. And accidents happen and injuries happen, and we understand that's part of the game. But if you come in with it and we don't know about it, that's going to be a problem.
Current state of football is not sustainable. So. It needs something's going to have to give at some point. Yeah. Last question from me, Doc. Have you ever called one of your athletes a wimp, or some version of that word wimp?
I probably used a version of it. Yes.
Okay.
I probably have. Yes. I don't know if I've used that one.
Stop being such a wimp.
Yeah. I've probably used a slightly more polite version, maybe. But
thought you were going to go more aggressive.
Yeah. I try. We have to still kind of whatever, but we've definitely. I will tell people. I will say sometimes you guys tough it up, and sometimes you got to do that. That's probably
now. Clap at them. You are not hurt.
Now, if we're talking about maybe some teams that I've coached too, it's also different.
Not hurt.
The medical speak and the coach speak sometimes aren't always the same either. I've coached my son's teams, and sometimes, unfortunately, especially my son, I'm you're fine, get out there.
There's a difference between hurt and injured.
Yep,
absolutely.
I know you said that before.
I've definitely used that line, and I've used that as a physician. To be fair, plenty of times.
Does rubbing dirt on an injury actually heal it?
My dad said rub some dirt on it.
I think it worked. I think it works. Look, my dad, I had a bloody nose once. He told me to smear on my face, and the ref wouldn't, surprisingly, not let me come back in the game. Yeah. I smeared it on my face, and my dad told me. I think I was like 7.
Yeah.
And he makes me turn around. I did what my dad said.
Bloody
nose, smear on face.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not acceptable in youth flag football.
Grow up, ump.
Oh, come on. What are we doing? Dr. Stephen Etheredge, good enough to join us every single Wednesday here. Doc, we always appreciate it, sir.
Always a pleasure.
All right, we'll step away. More OTB when we come back here live from the Raising Cane studio. As I said, going to dive into LSU football for most of this hour when we come back.
Off the bench.
All right, go to RussellPools.com, RussellPools.com, the website for Russell Pool Company. Let them build your dream pool in your backyard. Now, you've probably got a pretty good idea of what your dream pool is going to look like because, well, it's been your dream. And so you have thought about it for a long time, and you're going to put it on paper and you're going to be able to draw it out, they're going to be able to get that done. But we always encourage you, have that conversation with them. Go check out what they've already done here for clients in South Louisiana, because chances are you're going to see something that you want to add to your pool that you didn't even know was an option for you. And they can get it done over at Russell Pool Company. Again, russellpools.com.
That's right, Russell Pools. Russell Pools Company is the name you think of when you think of the highest quality custom pools in Louisiana. So if you're ready to take that next step, give your backyard a little glow up with a little custom pool, well, give Russell Pools a call. Start that conversation with Chris Anderson and his gang over there, doing a fantastic job. Take your dream to reality, no matter what the budget is. You can do anything. You can do a little. You can do a lot. It doesn't matter. Go to russellpools.com. Check out their gallery of work, russellpools.com.
Off the Bench, presented by Hood Dental.
I was always told not to go to sleep after you get your head hit, because you could just wind up in a coma.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You ever had a concussion, bud?
Undiagnosed.
I mean, seriously, do you think you've had one?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know for sure I have.
I don't know. Don't remember.
I'll give you a golf clap for that one.
Thank you. Brain bruise.
The muscle memory, though, when you have one, like you go back and you're like, I don't remember any of that, but it's like you're still doing the same things that on like a football play is pretty remarkable.
I definitely got a concussion when I was deep snapping on the JV team my freshman year. Yep, you heard it.
I don't want to explore that because we'll spend too much time on it.
I can snap the hell out of the ball.
Why didn't you keep doing that?
Because I just played quarterback.
Yeah, but you could have like retired at quarterback and got like 5 more years.
I was more like a one-handed, just like throw a pass between my legs kind of guy.
Yeah. All right.
Because I got concussed. Got rocked.
Oh yeah, because you're soft.
It was probably
probably
an illegal hit that didn't get
That's why
called.
when you were the personal protector, that didn't last very long.
Well, I wasn't trained. That was a bad rep. That was a bad rep for me at personal protector.
They're like, let's get Cam Vaughn back.
I mean, it was a little bit. Derek Dooley's trying to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, he's a politician.
Look how smart I am. I'm going to put our third string quarterback that's never hit anybody at personal protector, and we'll let Quinn Johnson run through the A gap untouched.
Quinn Johnson, who's like literally the most brick wall human I've ever played against.
180-pound head.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey, Quinn, settle down. And he'd be like, I'm just standing here. Yeah, you're right.
And they'll like knock you on the ground and like pick you up and give you a hug and tell you he loves you.
He just like murk people in Green Bay. Like it wasn't always controlled, but it was chaotic.
Took him about once he got to Green Bay. So he was a draft pick, right? He was like 5th or 6th round.
Yeah.
As a fullback.
Yeah.
And
3 got drafted this year, so easy.
So, but that was at a time. I mean, we carried 2 fullbacks all the time
sure.
in Green Bay. It took him a while to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because like you had linebackers that are smart.
Yeah.
That
you had some meathead linebackers
that would not like just head up. They wouldn't, but they would bounce off as tackles because they get low. They get better positioning on him. They'd feint him one way or whatever. But once he got used to it, man, it's the same thing. Like a human's a human, and that human's bigger and heavier head, and he would destroy people. Yeah. He just wasn't real like
shifty,
No, he's a
linebacker.
flexible type of deal. Yeah,
a linebacker playing fullback who just hurt people.
But he had a nice little.
Yeah, he did.
He had a nice little
Went
run.
to Tennessee after y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to Quinn.
That's awesome human being.
04 signing class. Let's go. All right, so LSU Tigers all finished up spring, and now we look forward to the fall. So we'll start with the quarterback position, okay? And we've got a great write-up on LouisianaSports.net by our guy Hunt Palmer right now. It's kind of looking at everything post-spring practice, maybe what the depth chart would look like and what it's going to look like at least to start the fall. So at the quarterback position, we know Sam Leavitt was limited out there, had the pins taken out of his foot. After that happened, he shut it down, but is on track to be ready for a lot of the summer workout and certainly be ready for fall practice. Now you had a couple of quarterbacks, Longstreet and Clark, that because Sam Leavitt wasn't able to go, got valuable reps. And this isn't just like going to watch practice or talking to coaches. Like I talked to players because I wanted to know, like, all right, hey, walk me through the quarterback development. And they said, man, it started out, and they were honest. They're like, it started out kind of rough. And there was a switch that got flipped about a week and a half into spring practice. And they said once it did, you could tell, all right, they're getting the offense. They're understanding what their duties are going to be within this offense because it's a unique offense. Not everybody runs that. How valuable, though, do you think those reps are going to be for those two quarterbacks, and how much did Sam Leavitt, I guess, miss in a new offense, not being able to be out there in the spring?
I don't think Sam Leavitt missed much. It could because of his availability that he had out there.
Yeah,
at every practice. So it was never going to be good for any quarterback. I don't care if it was Sam Leavitt out there. It was never going to be good for anybody for the first week or two, because you're installing. Not only are you installing a new offense, you're installing a different Lane Kiffin offensive approach to football that you've probably never done before. Now, maybe somebody was in a really fast tempo, and that approach is go as fast as you can and limited and very little like verbal communication because everything's got to be code worded and coded, and go as fast as you can. It's not the same as like your standard no huddle that you see that you might install for a couple series in high school or college or whatever it is. This is basically a no huddle on steroids. Right. Like it's going as fast as you can. So it's different than what anybody's ever done before. So that the struggle in team situations and implementing and getting you used to this new way of football was always going to be a struggle. I don't care what quarterback you had in there. When you do something new like that, there's going to be a learning curve. So again, like if it was Sam Leavitt in there, the struggles would have still been there just because. But because Sam was the availability, the mental availability, as well as a little bit of the physical availability and some of the individual drills that we saw him be available for, that was the learning curve.
Right.
The how it's done, seeing it in practice. And it's not like you can bring all these experienced guys over from Ole Miss so they can like teach them how it goes. Like these guys are going and seeing it. They're hearing the coach talk about how we're going to execute this fast tempo pace, but they're not being able to they're not learning from seeing how it's done in a practice. So they're just having to learn it on the fly. Yeah. And these coaches are having to teach them how to practice it and teach them how a new practice, like a practice type goes. And it's brand new for everybody. So it was always going to be an issue. And then you're going against a defense that has stability at the coaching and like hasn't changed. Of course, you're changing new faces, but they know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And they know what defenses they're going to run. So like there's 1,000% more stability on the defense when you start than there was the offense. So it was always going to be like that.
All the coaches are basically the same, right? You got two new coaches, I think, on that side.
Yep.
Right. And one of the new coaches is like Chris Kippen, who's coaching linebackers, but the Blake Baker, who coached linebackers, is still there as a defensive coordinator. He now roams everywhere. So outside of Kyle being gone,
so if
everything else is
the offense would have been ahead of the defense at the beginning of spring, that would have been a big indictment.
That
would have been really bad on the defensive side.
I agree.
So I think everything's on schedule right now. I don't think Sam Leavitt is going to have that same like catch up because he was out there. He saw.
He's able to throw. I mean, he's in uniform, helmet, throwing the receivers.
But just being there and be able to watch a practice and watch how it's executed. Yeah, that was the biggest thing. The other guys, the two other quarterbacks, were not able to watch how it goes. They just had to like get thrown in there and this is how we do it. Like go get it, go get it. And they're doing something they've never done before. So that spring, for that matter, the spring was very important. Those first couple
to
weeks.
What you're talking about in the process of the offense being different, it's not just the quarterback that's going to have to learn that. Like the receivers, Like the thing, and you've heard me say this about Ole Miss before last year and when Lane was there, I love the fact that when their receivers would make a catch, it didn't matter where it was. It didn't matter how good of a catch it was. It didn't matter what they did. They didn't celebrate it. It was immediately, it was get the ball, get it to someone, get it set. Like if it was, hey, you catch it out of bounds, you give it to the side judge, and you go line up. If you catch it between the hashes, you go spot the ball right where you caught it. They're going to set the ball, and you're going. There's no celebrating. There's no, I love a good, first down. I love all that, right? There ain't none of that. They are just getting the ball. It's like you got to learn that. And the offensive line, I talked to one of the offensive line coaches. He's like, no, everything's good. We just got to learn how to play in this tempo and this pace. Mm-hmm. He's like, because they're blocking their butts off, and then they immediately got to get set and get on the line. He's like, that doesn't happen. And I was like, just kind of talking through it with him, and I was like, yeah, coming off fourth quarter program. And he's like, no, like they're in shape. That's a different shape.
Right.
And that's a different mindset. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you're right, because the thing about when we were playing, right? You go make a run, make a catch, whatever. Well, we're coming back to the huddle, right? You're getting the play. You're coming in. You're taking a knee in the huddle. We're all hands on the knees. Like, that's our time. There ain't none of that, obviously. Right. And this is as fast-paced of an offense as you're going to have in the country. So you have to learn to play through that. You have to learn to play at a high elite level while, being exhausted, being tired. Look, they're tired too. The other side, you've got to get calloused in that. And I think that's what spring practice was good for a couple of different position groups, but maybe more so than any, the offensive line.
Yeah. I can tell you, I would not have liked to play in this offense, just as my playing style.
Yeah.
This Lane has objectively an awesome offense.
Yeah, you were a big,
very, very productive.
You were a big huddle guy. Like I remember, like
even if it's I
talked a lot,
and I enjoyed the no huddle as well, but my game would have just not meshed, and it doesn't really matter. But like, just from a quarterback, this isn't as much getting to the huddle and getting to the line of scrimmage, calling a bunch of hard counts to dissect exactly what they're doing.
Right.
Like, to me, I liked, like, the defense was, if they got in their exotic pressures and their exotic looks, cool. Because I got time. I'm gonna sit here and dissect it and then figure out what to do against that or how to beat that. This is go as fast as you can. There's going to be less to look at as a quarterback. There's still a lot, but there's less to look at and try to dissect. But we're going so fast, they got to play super vanilla.
They do, yeah. They can't do all the stuff that they've done all season long. We saw that, when LSU played Ole Miss.
Yeah, I liked a little bit more of the chess game, like the pre-snap chess game.
So you liked, the clip where your boy Clay Matthews is yelling at Cam Newton, saying like, "Hey, watch this, why blah 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 blah," and Cam's like, "Oh, cool, watch this. We watch tape too."
Yeah, that's good.
He goes and throws a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey.
Pretty good.
You're that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we will step away. When we come back, we'll get to some other position groups. Certainly want to knock out the running back position group. We'll take a look at some of the defensive battles as well. We'll do all of that when we come back here on OTB.
Off the bench.
All right, big show going on Saturday, May the 2nd. So this Saturday, AJ's Sports Card Show. It's going to be from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. $5 admission. Kids under 12, completely free. Sports cards, Pokemon cards, singles, graded cards, hobby boxes, door prizes, buy, sell, trade. It's at Elite Training Academy. Again, 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. And you'll also have a chance to meet this guy.
Yeah, I don't know why you would.
Matthew Clayton Flynn. He's going to be there from 11 to 12:30. He's going to be signing autographs, taking pictures, talking football to show you the difference between a counter and a power.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to do all those things, but you're going to have the opportunity, I guess. That's right, AJ's Sports Card Show right over there at LA. Like, this is perfect event for Hester and I. We are in the card game. AJ's is the best around. So go check him out at Elite. It's an awesome card show. Buy, sell, trade. Buy the best. Go check us out. AJ's Sports Card right there over at Elite Training.
Off the bench. Presented by Hood Dental.
Say what? Here we go. Can y'all really feel me? Baby girl. East Coast, feel me. West Coast, feel me. Can you feel us? Dirty South. Dirty. Can y'all really feel me? Feel it. East Coast, feel me. Say what? West Coast, feel me. Dirty South. Dirty. Can y'all really feel me? I got to pick it. East Coast, feel me. West Coast, feel me.
Boy, I've been watching you like the hawk in the sky. That fly, but you are my prey. Boy, I promise you, if we keep bumping heads, I know that one of these days we gon' hook it up, probably talk on the phone. But see, I don't know if that's good.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here live from the Raising Cane studio. Of course, our Wednesday show is brought to you by Hood Dental Care, hooddentalcare.com, hooddentalcare.com.
Clean those teeth.
I
I like their banner too.
What is wrong with you? Clean
Yeah.
those teeth.
Y'all found another color to match it too. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
community steel one matches,
Yeah.
and too bad we can't do black for Bayou Automotive,
That'd be sick.
right?
Or you just
Some
not turn it
black
on.
lights. Yeah, just sit in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
That'd be sick.
What is he doing?
You gonna,
what's he
are you
doing?
going to make it? Oh, look at that. Oh.
Well, you just turned them off.
You just turned it off. Okay.
Black.
I say get your
Oh, there we
get your
go.
teeth clean because I was telling people last week, like adulting stinks sometimes.
It's the worst.
And like as an adult, you got to figure out nobody's going to schedule me just to go get my teeth cleaned. You got to do it yourself.
That's the way it works.
Make sure you're doing it with Hood Dental. They crush it.
Hooddentalcare.com. Hooddentalcare.com is the website. All right, let's go to the running back position here.
Why?
After spring practice, it's the most important position on the football field, Matthew. What do you mean? You don't believe that?
No. That's a very, very important position. 1 of 11.
Oh, listen to you. The 111th speech. Yeah, no quarterbacks ever thought that. Or
I bet
said
you
that.
also really love the Jeremiah Love pick.
Yeah, of course I did. I had it mocked. And like everyone we did on NFL radio, I had Jeremiah Love going 3 overall.
It was a terrible pick.
The
It
best player in the draft.
was an awful pick.
Yeah, sure. I really want to talk LSU here, but you're making it really difficult
I know.
because I want to throw your little saying into the ground, like what your thought process is right now. Anyways, we're going to talk LSU running back here. Dylan Jones, and so Hunt in the article, again, on LouisianaSports.net, he's kind of breaking down the offense post-spring. He says, in the article, I truly believe Dylan Jones would start if LSU played a game on May the 1st. And I don't think he's wrong. And that might be a big surprise for a lot of people to hear that right now because you have Caden Durham, you have Harlan Berry coming back, and they're going to play. This is going to be a 3-back rotation, truly believe that. But when you go out to spring practice, when you talk to the people that are on the offensive staff, when you talk to the players on defense, they keep talking about Dylan Jones and what he is and what he can bring to the table. Now, his stats aren't like eye-popping from a year ago at Wisconsin. 76 carries, 300 yards, only 2 touchdowns, only 3.9 yards per carry. So that production, it wasn't a lot. Now, he was a freshman. We all know you get better as you go along. But in spring, he was very impressive. And again, like talking to the guys on the defense, they did not like having to tackle him in space. Like he has a little bit of something right now that the other running backs don't have. So I do find it interesting that he has gained this much momentum. He has really caught the attention of, again, not just the offensive staff, not just Kevin Smith, the running backs coach, but really the defensive players that he's going against. So I think we could find our way into getting back to what we've seen for a long time at LSU, a true running back by rotation.
Yeah, what kind of back is Dylan Jones? You talked about they didn't want to see him in the open field because he's got.
I think he's got a little. Well, no, I think he's got a little bit of everything. It's kind of the way that, again, when I was talking with the players, that they kind of described it of he can run past you, he can make you miss, he can kind of try to run through you.
Yeah, okay.
You know, he's right there at that
Well-rounded.
5'11 and a half, 6 foot, 210, 212 pound range, and so it gives you a little bit of
And
everything.
I feel like all 3 of those running backs are kind of the same style. Then they can kind of do a little
I
bit.
think Barry would be, I guess, more of a scat back.
a little bit shifty.
I think for Caden Durham, like he's obviously got track speed. I think Caden can be a physical runner. Like that clip that person sent us was asking about, is his counter power? Like he broke 3 tackles, it felt like, in that one clip. I think he could actually lean more into that portion of his game. Now, I know it's hard, like when you know you've got, this track speed, but I think he is big enough to be able to do that. Dylan Jones has earned some carries in the fall. Like, again, if Hunt's saying it, coaches are saying it, defensive players are saying it, he has made as big of an impression on this coaching staff, maybe as anybody, and probably a little bit of a surprise considering, again, he was a freshman, but, only 300 yards on the ground last year.
Yeah, I read this, and I was as shocked as probably anybody is to hear that that's kind of the viewpoint that people had coming out of spring, that if we started on May 1st, I think Dylan Jones would be probably get the first rep at running back.
No doubt.
Now, a lot's going to change. Nothing needs to be judged off of spring training. Like we have talked about multiple times, spring training is just it's the portion, the couple of weeks where you learn a lot, but people are just vying for pole position going into the summer. So we know, and the coaches probably know a lot more of what they have in Harlan Berry and Caden Durham than they do Dylan Jones. Probably one of the reasons why he got a lot of reps, because they kind of know what they got with these other guys because of all the reps and that they had.
It is a new staff, though.
It is a new staff,
completely.
But they
played against the backs.
They played against them. They're more familiarized. Well, I would think.
Yeah.
But I think as LSU fans, you're in a really good spot at that. I mean, that's got to be probably, if not the best, one of the top position groups that you have going into next year is in the running back room.
Look, I have no problem being a running back by committee either. I think if it makes sense. I don't like forcing a running back by committee because you're like, hey, we need to play these three guys. But if the three guys have the same skill set, it doesn't make sense. You don't have to do it. But if you have three guys that have something a little bit different, then I think you absolutely utilize that, right? You use it to your advantage. And we could go back, and we've done this so many times, but I do think it's important every time we have this conversation to remind our listeners, 2003. Sure, by the end of it, JV took off. But that group had Joe Adai, it had Chiron Carey, right? It had a lot of different backs. Allie Broussard. Barrington Edwards even got some carries, okay, in 07, right? I might have gotten the most carries, but Keelan and Charles and Trendon and Richard Murphy, all those guys helped us win a national championship. They were all out of the backfield. We had two fullbacks
and it's good because everybody also had their game too, right?
No doubt.
Or their multiple games.
Everybody had a game and a moment. And then
where they were the guy and they were the difference maker.
Charles against Tulane and Kentucky that year. Charles Scott to me is maybe the most underrated running back of all time at LSU. Mm-hmm. So I'm always going to wax poetic about what Charles did. But Keelan had Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. Murph in the national championship game to close it out, right? And Trendon certainly had his moment. So we could go 11. They didn't win it, but they made it. They had 4 or 5 running backs that played in 11. Clyde's year in 2019 was kind of the outlier of having single back success on that team. He had TDP, he had Emory, but that was Clyde's. Clyde played more snaps than any running back in the country that year. So I know at least in the Power 4 he did. So the whole point is in LSU's history, their most successful seasons have come being a running back by committee.
And it's a luxury. It's a luxury to have that as a team when you have that many good running backs who could probably be a top running back at the majority of other universities they go to. So look, LSU, we're in a good spot at the running back position. Like I said, I know you're going to have some really strong position groups, but you're going to be hard pressed to find another position group better than your running back group this year.
Just waiting on the fullback.
Did I not say that?
What?
Did I not say fullbacks are really good too?
We don't have one, but you imagine what it'd be like if we did?
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, we'll take a break. More OTB when we come back here live from the Raising Cane studio.
Off the bench.
All right, go to FABT.com, FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust, been in the game for over 100 years. That's right, over 100 years. That is a very, very long time. You do not stay in business and thrive like they are unless you're doing things the right way. What is the right way? Well, the right way is having all the bells and whistles of every national bank, but also making local decisions. We always say it because it is factual. They don't have to pick up the phone and call New York and call San Francisco and all these, hey, what do you think about this? No, they make the decision right there in-house. They've been in Louisiana, servicing Louisiana for over 100 years again. Go to the website today to sign up for your account, FABT.com.
Sorry, First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com. Go check them out. If you are looking can you imagine trying to start a business or expand a business and trying to explain what you want to do here in South Louisiana and try to explain that to someone making a decision in New York City? Nah, it ain't going to happen. Make sure you're dealing with a local bank that takes our community serious, takes you serious. First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com.
Usually I don't do this, but Go ahead on, break them off with a little previews of the remix. Now I'm not trying to be rude, but hey, pretty girl, I'm feeling you. The way you do the things you do reminds me of my Lexus cool. That's why I'm all up in your grill, trying to get you to a hotel. You must be a football coach, the way you got me playing the field. So baby, give me that, and let me get you that.
Off the Bench, presented by Hood Dental.
Hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in it wishing. Sipping on like so what? It's the freaking weekend.
Are we bleeping out Coke and rum and drunk?
Yeah, you can't say all that stuff, man.
Can't say rum. Rumpelstiltskin's good man. Stay cool, stay clean.
It's not even talking
It
about
even
cocaine.
blocked out murder.
I can understand that one even more than
I
rum.
can get behind that.
Elantra's
Matt's like, I'm definitely
murder.
Matt's like, I'm definitely anti-murder. You
Yeah,
get behind that.
I'm definitely against it. But I'm not.
I'm against it too, but it's not a
Coca-Cola
cuss word.
or rum.
We got a comment in the chat. Speaking of Joe Adai, is his son coming to LSU? He and JoJo LaFell's sons are playing together in Houston. They both look real fast and real athletic. I can tell you that.
They're real fast.
My goodness.
You
I
think-
love
you
watching
think-
their clips.
You think Joe Adai's son's got that 6-inch punch?
I don't know that anybody outside of Bruce Lee has it like Joe had it.
I'd like to see him take up MMA afterwards.
I told y'all, I get to campus, I'm like, wait a minute, wait. I'm supposed to play the same position as that guy? It was Joe.
Joe's Adai?
Man, that guy, the best chip blocker in the history of football. Don't have some ribs showing coming off a tackle.
God, he was so.
He was
much
going to
fun.
take
He was-
all of them.
I mean, it was fun to watch play tackle football.
That he was.
Yeah, y'all play the same position, pretty much the same athlete.
I've always said it.
Always said it. I mean,
Look
obviously-
same in our uniform too.
Yeah, stand side by side, same guy.
Yep, basically.
Jake, is that you? Oh man, it's me, Joseph.
Hour 3 OTB coming back.
Off the Bench.
That's me, Joseph.
It's me, Joseph.
Ready to
Adai.
go to KZBlinds.com, KZBlinds.com, KZ Interiors and Outdoor Living. Been in the game since 2004. Have Brandon Barton and team come out to your space. Learn your space. Change your space in a matter of minutes. Sometimes it's inside, sometimes it's outside. Sometimes it's outside, sometimes it's inside, and sometimes it's a little bit of both, like it was for me, that motorized screen. And now is the time, right? Get them out there, have them order it, have them install it, because that heat is coming. And if you want to shade a portion of your home, look, the screen for us, like I had no idea that it was going to shade our living room. Like, and it's so easy. Like Matt said, you push a button, goes down, push a button, goes up. And it saves us on energy bills in the summertime. KZBlinds.com.
KZ Interiors and Outdoors Living. KZBlinds.com, like Jake said, indoors, outdoors, it doesn't really matter. If you want to really tie that living room together, nothing brings it together like a nice window treatment, and they got you covered. Call Brandon Barton and his team. Have them out to your house. KZBlinds.com.